All right, looks like we have some folks who have come in early. Love it. Thank you very much for coming in early. You know, one thing I love to do, I love to hear is where everybody's from. So if you guys don't mind getting used to the Q&A also, if you can let us know where you're joining from, that would be awesome. Just go into the Q&A panel and just tap in the location if you're willing to share. All right, so I see Isaac from Sheffield, England. Wow, thank you very much for joining from there. Aaron from Oregon. Gabriella from Las Vegas. Lon from Denver. Great. All right, a bunch of other folks have joined. If you're willing, let us know where you're coming from. Caroline, I know Caroline from Houston. Hey, Caroline. I feel like I was talking to you yesterday because I was. Kathy from Arkansas. All right. Hopefully you guys can see us, by the way. Carrie and I are both sharing our webcams, trying to keep it natural as much as we can. And then I'll be showing, actually, let me start that as well. I'll show my screen so you can see that as well. Let us know if you can see it. Can you see my screen? It would be great if you, oh, here we go. I'm getting some, yep. All right, wonderful. So you can see us and you can see the screen, both. That's great. GoToWebinar actually stops showing me the actual webcams, no worries. And then who else we have? We have Ricky from Dallas. Hey, Ricky. And a bunch of other people, but no worries. Others have not responded actually where they're coming in from, but wherever you're coming in from, thanks so much for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead and get started because we have a limited amount of time. I was just telling Carrie earlier that 45 minutes for a presenter is not enough. So let's do I'll do the best I can to make that worth your time, all right? Let's, by the way, Carrie, do you wanna say hi before we start?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Quick introduction. Many of you have seen Asif. His face is all over the place and he speaks at conferences, but I'm kind of in the background. I manage all the partner relations for VisualSP, and I look forward to hopefully working closer with each one of you, and I hope you get a lot of value from this. And then Asif, just a logistical thing. I'm sure you're going to start this recording too, right?
Yep, this recording's already going. Absolutely.
Oh, good. Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for joining us.
All righty, let's do this. So this is all about Microsoft Viva Connections, right? Let me go ahead and get some of these windows out of the way so I can see everything. All right, almost there. So many windows, even with 2 screens, it's not enough. So I'll be talking about Microsoft Viva Connections. This webinar specifically is from the perspective of Microsoft partners and solution providers. If you are not a Microsoft partner, if you're not a solution provider or an independent consultant or a consulting company, some of the things I'll be saying won't really truly apply to you. But regardless, if you want to stay and if you want to learn more about Viva Connections, what's in it for you, you're welcome to. I know some folks have signed up who are not consulting companies, solution providers, or partners. No worries. I think there's something for everybody here. Also, for people who are Microsoft partners, we have a great partner ecosystem within VisualSP where we sell our VisualSP software through partners. And what I'm about to show you for Viva Connections and also for VisualSP for Viva Connections, if it makes sense, please do reach out to Carrie afterwards, all right? So having said that, let's get started. I'm actually going to stop showing my webcam so to save on some bandwidth here. First thing, what I want to do is do a quick poll. This won't take that long, but it's going to really, really help me understand who you are and what you're looking for. So if you don't mind, please, if you could participate in this very quick poll, then I'll get going. Love to see these numbers going up and down from all different categories. So of course, the question being, how many of your customers are inquiring about Microsoft Viva? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll in just a few seconds. So if you have not voted, we would love for you to vote. It's like about 70% of you have voted. Oh, here we go, more than that. All right, I'm gonna close the poll and then show it to you so you guys can also see what I'm seeing. Okay, hopefully you can see it. 32% of you said nobody's asking about it. Trust me, that will change because Microsoft is putting so much effort in on Viva, and I'll talk to you about that why. 42% have said less than half. 13% said more than half, and 13% says everybody wants to know. Well, that everybody wants to know category is gonna change. That's gonna be more and more people. All right, thank you very much for doing that. Hit the poll now. I'm gonna go back and flip the thing here to the agenda. See, we're talking about Microsoft Viva Connections. I will briefly talk about Microsoft Viva as a whole also, and I'll tell you why it's so important to Microsoft, what's going on, why are they putting so much energy into it. What benefits does Viva Connections provide to Microsoft partners? You know, if you're a Microsoft partner, which is what this specific webinar is geared towards, why should you care? We'll talk about that. How do you get started? How do you get going? What's the next step? And how do you ensure customers are successful with Viva Connections on launch day and going forward? This is the part of the story where we also as a vendor, VisualSP as a vendor has come in, and we have partnered up with Microsoft, and I'll show you exactly what our partnership is about. If it makes sense, we would love to talk to you as well. First of all, VisualSP as a company, if you're not familiar with us, we are a recognized Microsoft partner. We've been in business since 2005. We pivoted from being a training-only company to going to what we do right now, which is very software specific. It's contextual micro-learning for Microsoft 365, Dynamics, and within Microsoft 365 Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Stream, all different applications that we provide contextual micro-learning for. And if you have no idea what that means, contextual micro-learning and walkthroughs and stuff like that, I'll show that to you. With my own introduction, in case we have not met yet, I would love to once again in person meet most of you if we're able to someday at the conference. But until then, my name is Asif Rahmani. I'm from Chicago. I'm the founder and CEO of VisualSP. I've been a Microsoft MVP since 2007. I love supporting and helping our customers around the world. And I love doing these webinars as well. That's why I'm doing this one. I've been around, once again, for a long, long time, maybe a little too long. Since 2001 is when I started doing SharePoint stuff, speak at conferences, written a few books, and do a lot of videos and other kind of content these days. Would love to meet you someday as well. Let's talk about Microsoft Viva. So Microsoft Viva is what's called an employee experience platform, EXP. This is not something that's new within outside of Microsoft. Within Microsoft is still kind of new, but outside of Microsoft is not new. EXPs are really taking off. You know, we were all dumped into using things like Teams and Slack and all kinds of stuff last year, where everybody went, or almost everybody went virtual. And from 2020 being forced into virtual to 2021 being very intentional and providing the experience that employees need in a remote environment, hybrid environment, or even in-person environment through the employee experience platform is what it's all about. Hopefully that makes sense. The Viva is a brand by Microsoft, and within Viva, the brand, there are 4 specific apps that appear within Teams. You got Connections, Insights, Topics, and Learning, as it shows over here. Our focus, of course, is going to be Connections, but let me talk about others as well. So Connections, putting your SharePoint intranet, communicating news and information to your users directly through from SharePoint through your Teams. That's what Connections is all about, to put it briefly. Insights, very much about showing workplace analytics. So if you already have workplace analytics going for individuals and or teams, this is just an evolution of of that within Viva. It's Viva Insights. Viva Topics, kind of expensive actually. but a very, very cool thing. It's using artificial intelligence to bring contextual information directly from other sources within Teams. So if you're looking at something and you say, hey, what is that word that I'm looking at within chat? You hover over it, you click on it, and it shows you more information, other people that you can talk to about that topic. But the topics have to be constructed by you, maintained by you, and it is a pretty hefty cost. So keep that in mind, but it is definitely available. Learning, which has just gone into public preview, but still not available for many people. I'll be doing a sessions on learning and also connections actually at the Orlando conference that's coming up in a few weeks if you're coming to Microsoft 365 conference. So I'll talk more about that then. But it's basically a way to aggregate and get all your information from different sources, from different places that you have directly within Teams to the Viva Learning app. Of course, when I say information, primarily it's learning educational material, but it could be other stuff as well. So that's briefly what these are. I'll definitely be talking more about that in other webinars. There are also some really in-depth blogs that I've put out there on our blog. So if you check it out at visualsp.com, go to the blog, you'll see all these different things. Today, I'll be diving into Viva Connections. Let me get going because I'm already a little bit behind. So what the heck is Viva Connections? That's the main question. Why should you care? What is Viva Connections? To put it very, very simply, it's Teams plus SharePoint, and that's Viva Connections. All right. How many of you have Teams? If I had to ask that question, I would say, well, 99% probably, maybe 100%. How many of you have SharePoint? Whether it's used heavily or not, that's also going to be 100%, I can bet. So you already have Viva Connections. You probably don't have the app deployed, and that's why you're here. So we'll talk more about that. Viva Connections is a way to deliver your SharePoint-based intranet directly through Teams. Once again, to put it simply, right? And I'll show you much more in-depth things about that. It appears as an app on the left rail of Microsoft Teams. So you see Viva Connections directly there as an app, and I'll show you exactly how you can put the app there and what is available, what's not available, the limitations of it. We'll talk more about that. At the end of the day, the good news is those of you who have been around SharePoint for a long time, like me, SharePoint is definitely becoming cool again. I mean, honestly, it's always been cool, I think, but it had lost its way when there was some leadership change within Microsoft. But then Jeff Teeper came back, and he's been doing some wonderful things with him and his team with SharePoint. So it's definitely relevant. It's definitely cool again. And obviously, as most of you already know, SharePoint powers lots of experiences within Teams, within OneDrive, Stream, List, Libraries, and a whole lot more. And also, SharePoint is and it continues to be the largest consumer of Azure in the world. Okay, so there's lots and lots of Azure services, but SharePoint itself is the biggest, the largest workload within Azure. And of course, Azure is a big moneymaker for Microsoft. So there we go. This is Viva Connections running within, oops, I lost something. Here we go. This is Viva Connections running within Microsoft. So as you can see over here, this is an actual screenshot from Microsoft's tenant. Don't tell them I have it. I'm just kidding. This is public, nothing that I stole or anything. Jeff Teeper showed one of these slides. So here is the Viva Connections app. It's been labeled as Microsoft in this case, and it appears right there on the top left of Teams. So next thing I believe is a quick sneak peek. By the way, let me know if you have any questions. Would love to take questions as well as we go along to do these things. Otherwise, I'm just going to be talking nonstop the whole time. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen. Now I'm showing Viva Connections. How about if let's do, if you could raise your hand if you can see it. Would love to see that. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. Viva Connections, once again, as I said, to put it simply, is just bringing in your SharePoint-based intranet directly within Teams. And that's exactly what I'm showing you right now, right? I have Viva Connections put as an app on the top left right here. You can, of course, move it around as well, just like anything else. I like to prefer it on top, so all of our team members can see it right there. This is obviously a demo intranet. This is not a real intranet, but it's a communication site. being brought in to Viva Connections just through a PowerShell script that's executed, and I'll talk more about that as well. But at the end of the day, the experience remains very, very similar, but not exactly the same. That's also very important. Very similar, but not exactly the same of what you have in the browser. Okay. I just wanted to give you a quick sneak peek. So I did that. I'm actually going to come back to this thing and show you a whole lot more. But there you have it, SharePoint running within Viva Connections. All right. Let's go forward. The main question that you should all be asking yourself, why should I care about Viva Connections? What's in it for me? Well, this is also a fact. Hate to admit it, but I talk to so many people around the world, whether they're partners, customers, or just people who come to my sessions like you guys, or in-person sessions back in the day. This is a fact that many SharePoint intranets around the world are stale and not being used as much as their potential. Document libraries are still getting documents. People are putting stuff there. Sometimes they're confused as to how to share those documents, but still people are just dumping documents there, ignoring metadata at times and making folders and driving all too crazy. All that stuff is happening around the world, right? That's just a fact. That's what's happening. So having said that, Viva Connections is definitely going to be making SharePoint sites relevant and cool again. I mean, back in the day, SharePoint was it. That was the main thing. Now it's a lot more other services, and those services will definitely remain, but SharePoint as an intranet, SharePoint as an interface to show pages to people, that's coming back full force because it's now going to be within Teams where everybody is. So you'll definitely see a lot of people in the future, I would say maybe a year from now or so, when things get more streamlined, a lot of companies putting Viva Connections out there, making Viva Connections their homepage within Teams. Viva Connections itself is, once again, at the end of the day, it's showing your SharePoint-based intranet, which is showing news and company communication, also access to your line of business applications. That's done something called Dashboard, which I'll talk more about in the next slide. But anything that you want to show to your people, which cannot easily be shown through a channel or through a chat, you do that on pages, and those pages in SharePoint, you interface that, you show it up through Viva Connections. That's the story. So the main components of Viva Connections, you got feed, you got the resources, and you have dashboard, which is what I was just talking about right now. And after the slide, actually, I'll show you a quick visual also of how these look. But let me explain this a little bit. Feed is basically your aggregated content coming from SharePoint, from Yammer, from Stream, everything that's coming into your SharePoint communication site, and that's all being shown in the feed through Viva Connections. Resources, simply put, any kind of news, information, recent documents, all frequent sites through the app bar and through the resources that you directly dump on the page. All that stuff is resources being shown. And dashboard, like I was talking about before, access to your main corporate applications, your actions and third-party solutions. All those things can be shown through dashboard. Thing about dashboard, by the way, that's not available yet. If you're asking to yourself, hey, I've not seen dashboard because that's not available yet. I was just talking to a program manager yesterday for Viva Connections, and I said, hey, when is it coming, Adam? And he mentioned, well, that's going to be through, I mean, it's the same story as before, so it's not changed. It's coming through the summer sometime. We'll see exactly when sometime happens. I see a question out there, by the way, maybe actually a couple of questions. Let me go ahead and take some of them before I go forward. Do we know when a GUI for Viva Connect will be available? Jose is asking. So Jose, you're asking GUI, I think you're talking about an app that you can download and install instead of PowerShell, if that's what you're asking. That is in the plans, don't know exactly when. That is gonna happen someday though. Yeah, okay, so Jose said yes. Yeah, it's not available yet, but it's gonna be in a few months is the story currently. Alexander's asking, that's where the home site app went? Yeah, the home site app was, exactly. The home site app was formed for the same exact purpose, to show your SharePoint intranet directly into Teams, and now they've replaced it with Viva Connections. So that's exactly the evolution of that. learned at saying, yeah, SharePoint is the most expensive file share. Yeah, unfortunately, many organizations are doing that. You're right, but it has so much more potential. Okay, Jason, oh, that's a hard, big question. I love it. What's the big advantage of having your SharePoint site display in Teams? What's the value? Very good question, Jason. What is the value? So let me go to this next slide over here and talk about this. Here's the fact. SharePoint site currently is in a web browser, and for many people, unfortunately, it is getting stale a little bit. Now, there are many people who are having great success with it, but there are other organizations that are not. Having said that, you bring what's already out there that you've already invested in, that you're investing even more in, directly to where the people are, which is within Teams. And you do that in a way where it has all the components they need, even access to other applications and everything else. I guarantee you, because I've seen it with my own eyes, that people love clicking less to get to the things that they really need. So if they're already in Teams, now you're bringing in what you want them to see within Teams. And that's the value that I see, okay? I'll be talking about exactly how you can put it all together as well. And it's super easy to put it together to have your SharePoint-based intranet coming in here. You already have licensing for it. There's no additional cost for it. It just makes sense to bring it directly within Teams. Let me talk about the components over here. You got the resources that appear directly on top, as I was saying before. Of course, it could look whatever you want it to look like, but stuff coming in directly from all different places in here that you want to give them access to. The feed, which I was only able to grab a small screenshot of here, so sorry about that, but the company feed, which is any information from Yammer, Stream, SharePoint, everywhere that's coming aggregated and having a feed, just like a social feed at the bottom. And these components can be switched around, obviously, but that's just how it is templated out to begin with. And on the right is the dashboard. Dashboard is something I'm pretty excited about because this could be actual line of business applications that you have in your organization, even built with non-Microsoft components that you can get access to right here. It could be as simple as a link that like appears as a tile. They click on it and they get to that application, or it could be an actual, I don't know, a calculator or some type of an actual application that appears directly within Teams when you click on one of these tiles. This story is still developing, but you'll see a lot more information about dashboard coming this summer. It's going to be pretty cool to be able to do that, and it's going to come as a web part, so you can actually deploy this dashboard to other places as well, not just in here. I just see a comment from Aaron. Yeah, people are lazy. Yeah, it's honestly, that's true, especially for end users. You want to give them stuff where they are, not where you want them to go. So it's going to work. Trust me, I've seen it. How do I get access to Viva Connections? Well, good news is you already have access, most of you, if not all of you, because I know most organizations that I talk to have access to SharePoint and Teams, actually 100% of the ones that I talk to. So you already have it. There's no additional cost to get Viva Connections going. There are some prerequisites to know about. One is that you have to have a modern SharePoint communication site, preferably a home site, but it's not required. Now, a home site by definition is your main root site, but you don't. Once again, you don't really have to designate a home site for it to be consumed in Viva Connections. You can. It's either way is fine. What we have done in our own company, actually, we decided to not make it a home site. We just made a communication site and put that out there. But that might change in the future as home sites evolve. So you just need that, and you need Microsoft Teams, obviously. The deployment of it, which is what Jose was asking before, that is there an easy app I can just grab from the Teams App Store, right? Unfortunately, no. Here's what you will need. And by the way, all the stuff is in my blog as well. You can see this in the slide deck, or if you just go to visualsp.com, go to my blog, and you'll see Viva Connections, all the stuff there. You need URL, name, your description of the app, privacy policies from your company name, obviously, your company website, and you also need some icons, one a monochrome icon, one a colored icon, and the credentials of Microsoft Tenant Admin, Microsoft 365 Tenant Admin, and also the Teams Admin. You'll need all that stuff handy. Once you have this stuff, and follow the information on the blog if you want to get the actual PowerShell script, it's a one-click download. You get the PowerShell script, you run it. Once you run it as a Microsoft 365 admin, you get the manifest with all this information that you're providing. The manifest file you upload through Teams as a Teams admin, and then that manifest file basically becomes, it renders itself as the Viva Connections app. So it sounds more technical and more difficult than it is. Obviously, it would have been much, much easier if it was just a regular app I can just take from the store. It's not, but this is just a one-time deal. It's not that difficult. It does take about an hour, maybe less to do, and then you're good. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about before, that there is no app you can just get. It is only done through PowerShell currently. Okay. Sorry, I know that's not what everybody wants to hear, but it's a one-time deal. Tom is saying, did you say this was already live? Can I implement this today? Absolutely, Tom. It's live. It's available for everybody. Everybody, anybody, if you want. Can you manipulate the manifest file? Alexander is asking. That's a wonderful question. Absolutely. You can manipulate the manifest file once you have it. It's just a text file that you can open up. You can change the wording in there. You can point to different things, even after it's generated. The PowerShell is just helping you generate the manifest file. After that, what you do with it is up to you. Obviously, please don't mess it up or anything with the syntax, but as long as you follow the rules of the manifest file and change stuff around, no problem. You can do that. Jason, question, are they working on deploying this as an app? And if so, when will it be available? They are definitely talking about it. Once again, it's Microsoft, so you gotta take it with a grain of salt. It might take a while. So don't hold your breath. I would say go with this because it might be a few months, it might be even a year. I don't know. But that would be really, really nice if they have the app soon. All right, let's move on. Tips, caveats, and gotchas you should know about. All content in Viva Connections, everything that I was showing before and then I'll be showing later also, all the content is basically targeted to audiences. So when you target your audience with specific content, dashboard icons, resources, feed, then depending on the audience that's coming in, if it's sales folks, if it's marketing folks, operations or HR or whatever, they will get content that's relevant to them. Everything that can be personalized, which is wonderful. There's no way to edit your SharePoint content through Viva Connections, which was a weird the first time I saw them. Like, what do you mean you can't do that? You still have to go to the web browser. If you're an admin and you're looking at your SharePoint site through Viva Connections, you won't be able to get into it and edit it. You have to go to the website to edit it, the web browser to edit it there. And then you'll see the edits when you come back. I'll show you this thing in a few minutes in the demo. Yeah, caveat, definitely keep your app name short. We have purposely made ours long so I could show you exactly how it gets cut off, because it doesn't wrap, it just cuts it off, unfortunately. The search query that you have, the searches that you can do from Teams to your SharePoint site, through Viva Connections, it's not the default option, it's the second option, which once again is throwing users off because you just, usually you type in something, you press enter and it's go. No, it's actually going to search Teams if you did that. You have to type it in, then you have to click on the second search option, which is to search the site, which I'm really hoping that Microsoft can make better. I'll be talking to them about that feedback as well. The commands that appear on the top right of Viva Connections with the SharePoint site that's showing Viva Connections or showing through Viva Connections, those commands are contextual, which is great, but they're different than what you see in the web browser. I'll show you exactly what that means also. Just another gotcha. And there is global navigation available directly from Teams, from the Viva Connections, but the way you see it, it's different than what you see in the browser. Once again, it's one of those things where, like, why do you have to make it different? Some decision points I understand, some are kind of kooky, unfortunately, but I just want to show you what they have so you'll see it. But these are some of the tips, caveats, and gotchas you should know about. You'll have this recording afterwards, so you can watch it again if you want to, and of course I'll show you many of these things in my demo as well. Now, next question, what's the best way to onboard and train people on Viva Connections? Those of you who know me, and I do see a bunch of names that I have had the pleasure to meet before, so thanks so much for coming for this webinar. You know that I've been a trainer myself for a very long time, and I very much believe in users understanding how to use the applications we provide them. Otherwise, what's the point? And onboarding and having support and training for people as they're using Viva Connections, I think is a must. It's not a good to have, but it's a must. In our case, what we have done is we provided our own solution, VisualSP, as an option for contextual help and training directly within Viva Connections. So I'll show you what that is. If you like it, definitely reach out to us. In our case, the scenario that I'm going to present is you can start onboarding walkthroughs and things like that that come in directly when a person comes to Viva Connections for the first time, to the website for the first time, saying, hey, welcome, let me show you around, and here's what this is. Giving them also a tab that's just sitting on the right of the screen, for example, they can click on, they can get more information as they need it. So contextual microlearning and contextual help always available to them directly through Viva Connections in this case. You can also, when there's important messages you want to show, you can show a banner, you can show an inline help icon, you can show a button on the page, you can show dialog boxes or walkthroughs, all kinds of stuff like that we make available through VisualSP. And I'll show you some of the examples of that as well, so you can see how we have the VisualSP for Viva Connections. Here's a quick demonstration in an animated image. Hopefully you can see that this is a walkthrough that's coming up. This kind of walkthrough could be like the come up for the first time. You know, a user comes to Viva Connections for the first time, they get a complete walkthrough of all different things that they can do. Okay. All right, let's get back into the demo, and I would love additional questions as well. Let's get this going here. Okay, so start one more time, 1 second. Okay, so we have we have Viva Connections running here. Let's talk about the components of Viva Connections, and especially how it's different from the site that if you would see this thing in the browser, okay? So I'm gonna show you those things that are different and how, what you would see as it doesn't matter if you're an admin or a regular user, you would see the exact same view, how you would see it differently compared to within Teams and the browser. And I'll be doing that through using our own walkthrough, VisualSP walkthrough. So you'll see. So I'm gonna click on Viva walkthrough button, which is through VisualSP. Here we go. First thing, you notice that there's no suite bar. The main navigation bar that usually appears on top in the web browser that you can use to waffle to go to different applications, not there. Okay, the question mark is not there. The gear is not there. The profile picture, none of that stuff is there. They stripped it off. And also the app bar is not there. So on the left, I have the app bar running in the actual intranet. You know, this is the image from the browser, but it's not showing up here. I'll show you why and how that's configured in just a few minutes. Next, search. So search is available, and as I was saying before, you can search from here to the information on the site, but it's not the default option. The default option is to search results of whatever you put in within Teams. So it's going to start searching chat and Teams and other stuff. It won't search your site unless you pick the second option. Let me just quickly show you. So if I do, here we go. So if I type in Contoso, I have to click on the second thing over here, and that would open up the actual SharePoint site in the browser, and it would, throw that term there. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So that's the way the search works. Next. Okay, right here, the 4 links, or the 4 options here on the top right there, contextual in nature, which is awesome, favoriting sites, linking to this page that I'm looking at, refresh, and also go to the website, but they're different. They're different than what you would see in the web browser. In the web browser, you would see the not following and share, but here you see this. And actually, that was it. It ended a little bit abruptly, but yeah, that's how you see that's different here compared to what you see in the web browser. In fact, I actually have the web browser going here, so let me show you that. Same exact site. This is being shown through the web browser. Before that, it was in Teams, same exact thing, right? As you can see over here that you have different icons here. The suite bar is there. The app bar is on the left, right here. Very different than what you see in Teams. Oh yeah, one more thing actually that I forgot to mention is editing capability. New page details, analytics, publish, edit, all that stuff is not present when I'm when I'm in here. Okay, so keep those things in mind. It is different. It is what it is though, but it is different. Let me see if there's any questions out there. Alexander is saying, oh my God, search is becoming an even greater mess. Yeah, Alexander, I am not happy with this search option the way it is right now, because people usually are going to just type it in and press enter, right? And if you press enter, it's going to search the stuff here, not the actual site, which is painful, I think. So definitely some training would be required and some onboarding be required for people to understand how to use this properly. True, very true. Before I forget, let me tell you about the app bar story. So if you've already been using the app bar, let me bring that back over here. Here's the app bar in the browser, right? So you got my sites, you got my news, you have my files, and all that stuff is appearing right there. Okay, great. That's the app bar in the browser. Where's my app bar in Teams, you ask? Well, I think it's not very apparent, unfortunately, but once you're looking at Viva Connections, if you click on the icon again, so you're looking at it and you click on the icon, Viva Connections app icon again, then you see the app bar types of stuff. So my news, my sites, all that stuff is right there. Once again, it's not very intuitive, which sucks, but that's what it is right now. Things are still in flux and story is still building, and I'm definitely providing a lot of feedback back to the product team over there at Microsoft as well about this thing, and they understand it's not completely the way it should be, and they're making the story better and better. If you have feedback and thoughts and questions, I'm glad you're putting it out here in Q&A. Feel free to shoot me an email later about that also if you want. I'll give you my email address. We're not done, but I just want to give you this thing right now. So asif@visualsp.com, feel free to do that. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and stuff as well. So you can ask me questions there too, and I'll try to get to it the best I can. But yeah, there are things that are happening which are hopefully going to improve as time goes on. Okay. One other thing that I almost forgot. You see over here, and let me actually zoom in over here. We named our app here VisualSP Perspectives. And because of that, after the PE, everything else got cut off. Can't see it. That's just how Viva Connections works. It doesn't wrap it up. It just kills it, unfortunately. So I would suggest how many characters is. I didn't count the characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. I guess 10 characters would be good for your name. Okay, for Viva Connections. That's what I would recommend. Okay, a few things also about VisualSP for Viva Connections. So you heard me mention that a few times. Let me give you a perspective of that. See, this is the tab right here that I was talking about before. So the tab that's always there for users has all the information they would need contextual to where they are. Let me actually turn the editing mode off. But a tour of the intranet, which currently I'm clicking from here, but it could appear automatically if you want for users, giving them a tour of everything. If they happen to be a site admin, they can see how they can customize the site header, site information. They click on this, boom, here we go. Customizing the logo of the site. Next over here, here's all the the news, their documents, and more. You can even have other interaction points like, hey, if you want to contact support, click on contact support, and very quickly a new Outlook Compose window came up over here with support@contoso.com already there. So very easily done, configurable. If you want to see how this walkthrough is built, I'll just quickly show it to you. If I go into the tour of your intranet edit, it's very click and point kind of thing. So here are the steps that you were looking at. The first step here being this one. Maximize this so the picture and all are Contoso intranet. So I made the change right now, and just by doing that preview, you should see the change. Here we go. If I want to point to certain things, that also can be done very easily. So instead of a splash screen, I can say, you know what, I want to point to a specific element on the page. I think actually this would not be a great one. Let's do that. And now I'm pointing Might need to be changed a little bit, but here we go. Here we go. Now it's pointing to the tab bar here. So very easy to configure walkthroughs. We made this once again within not that long to make that happen. Steps can be moved also very easily, very fluid environment. And that's a walkthrough builder. And aside from the walkthrough builder, there's a lot more stuff you can do in here as well. Any questions out there? Let's see. Does VisualSP support multiple languages and your own content? Absolutely. VisualSP does support multiple languages and creating your own content. In fact, all these kind of content can be created very easily using VisualSP, banners, rich HTML, videos, walkthroughs. I was just showing someone a banner before this meeting. So let me see if I have one available here. Here we go. Like a banner like this come up automatically saying, hey, there's a COVID-19 alert. We're adopting a hybrid environment. And if I want to customize this or I want to make my own, once again, you go into edit. This is going to be a banner edit. So in here, I can go ahead and change stuff around, change the colors and all that stuff. Extremely fluid and very quick environment to make this happen. Here we go. So this is the way to communicate, to train, to support your users. We recommend, of course, going with a contextual option, either with VisualSP or with a similar option like that out there. Maybe you have something built yourself, that's fine too. But getting people the information and the training they need directly within the environment, I feel is the best route. Okay, I don't want to run out of time, so I'll go back here to talk about some other stuff. If you're wondering if you want to get more information about VisualSP for Viva Connections, here's the cost for it. It's on the website as well. And Carrie, who's on the call, can talk to you more about that afterwards. It's $4,950 per year for up to 2,000 users. And for additional users after that, it's 50 cents per user per year. And here's a URL for more information about VisualSP for Viva Connections. All the stuff I was showing you, VisualSP, that's all, everything is covered, including the out-of-the-box content and for you to make your own content. Additional Viva Connections resources. I have a blog out there about Viva Connections. I try to update as much as possible with new information as I'm talking to Microsoft, so check that out. There's also a Viva Connections blog by Microsoft with a lot of good information there, and also the Viva Connections landing page. Everything is in this slide deck. Some of the Q&A that you might have in mind, can I have multiple Viva Connections apps? This is not officially supported, but having said that, there is a friend of mine, name is Hilton Gisano, from Israel. That's where he resides right now, and he's done a really good job at making a blog talking about how you can game the system a little bit. It's not official, but you can have multiple Viva Connections apps if you wanted to, and yeah, not supported, so your mileage may vary. How many others around the world have started deploying Viva Connections? Honestly, not as many yet, but that story is changing on a regular basis. Lots more people are thinking about Viva Connections. As I mentioned, I will be talking about Viva Connections and Viva Learning in the Microsoft 365 conference that's happening within a few weeks in Orlando. Finally, an in-person conference after so long. Oh my God. So I already have a lot of interest, a lot of people asking about that. So it's going to happen to you as well. Is there a mobile version of Viva Connections? Should be a question you should be asking yourself if you've not already. There is not, but it's coming this summer. Dashboard functionality that I was showing before, as well as the mobile functionality for Viva, everything is coming in the summer, sometime, hopefully soon. Also want to put this back up here, and I'm actually going to start showing my webcam. Carrie, as I mentioned, is our partner relations, in charge of our partner relations. So if you do have questions or thoughts, Carrie is the person to talk to. As my webcam comes up, I'll take a couple other questions here as well as we're talking. So Lionel is asking, does VisualSP work with desktop applications or only online applications? Very good questions. It is only online applications, but as I showed you that it does work within Viva Connections within Teams. And
just to add on to that, the tool that Asif has been showing you, the VisualSP, this is not just a solution for Viva Connections. So it's also available across all of Microsoft 365. So if you think that those contextual training cues and the guides and the walkthroughs would be helpful for your customers, it's definitely very scalable.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for mentioning that. Basically, any web applications, including custom web applications you have, Dynamics, or even outside of Microsoft, Salesforce and things like that, everything is supported with VisualSP with those contextual guides banners and everything else. So let us know. Ricky is saying, disregard my question, you've already answered it. Okay, sorry, I couldn't even get to your question, Ricky, but thanks for letting me know.
Asif, I'll just jump in real quick too, because this is for partners, and
Yes.
I'm here to, answer any follow-up questions as well about the relationship. So again, we would, if this solution, any of these solutions could help your customers, we would love for you to be able to offer this directly to them. Asif showed you some pricings, which is the direct to customer pricing, but of course we offer a discounted price for our partners, and then therefore allowing you some opportunity to not only create more work with your customers, but also make some money from the solutions as well. So again, if you have any questions, my name is spelled Kari, and my email is Carrie at VisualSP. It's up there on the screen, and I'd love to talk to you about how we can work together.
And it looks like Alexander is asking what's the margin for partners. We do list that on the website, I believe, as well. That is 30% that we provide margin. And then there's a lot of additional follow-up work that our partners also get in terms of creating help items and maintenance and doing success calls. And we provide all the materials for that as well. So definitely reach out to us, Alexander, if you would like. I think we're almost out of time here. Carrie, any other last words?
I do not have any.
One?
I think that
Okay.
you did a great job going through the overview. It was so fun to see all the interaction. I loved seeing the questions. Some of the questions did not get answered directly by Asif because he can't get to all of them, but I will share those I will make sure that we respond directly to you. So if you had a question that wasn't answered, expect an answer from me coming soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for everybody to join. And if I did not get to your question, I'm so sorry, but we'll try to definitely get to you. And if you do miss, please feel free to email us, email Carrie, bug her about that. Email me if you want, asif@visualsp.com, and we'll be in touch. All right. I think we're right on time, so let's respect everybody's time. Thanks very much. And
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.